Alright, we are on the draw with Rug Delver. How good's this hand? I'm going to say it's good enough. We have a couple lands. Serum Visions, the main reason, well, not the main reason to keep this. Serum Visions makes it pretty okay that this hand does not have any threats. Nothing to shoal. Our opponent mulled down to 6 and played a Spire Bluff Canal. There's the threat. Does that mean we just hold up Thought Scour instead of Visions? We have a turn 2 Mandrills here. And we have Disrupting Shoal. 2 fetches, 3 cards off Scour, yeah. Oh, we have a turn 2 Mandrills plus. We're just going to hold up our interaction here. Possibly Scour on end step, who knows? Anything could happen. Exciting times. We're waiting on the opponent to do something. I'm not sure. Interesting that they have a stop in our main phase. I'm not going to read into that, though. That could be anything, really. Second main, pass it to the opponent. They didn't do anything on their end step. Sorry, our end step. Here's a Scalding Tarn, and I think they're going right back to us. They are. Let's get a Steam Vents Breeding Pool. We have a lot of cards here. A lot of blue cards specifically. I think it's going to be worth shocking twice. Let's Scour ourselves. Get that engine going. Bobble and Bolt hitting the bin. We drew a Serum Visions off the Scour Snapcaster Mage for turn. Second land drop. I think we do want to fetch here because it means that we can Visions and then Mandrills. Especially having the second Visions, I want to do that even more because we can still shoal pitch one of the Visions. There's basically no risk in it. Giving up one of the Visions to do our thing. This is going to be a Steam Vents. I think my least favorite part of MTGO so far is that. Having to stretch out the land, I guess not land, library window. We're going to make sure we don't tap the breeding pool. That would be bad. Goyf on top sounds fantastic. Bobble on top, almost as good, but not quite. I think we're just going to bottom the Bobble and leave the other Bobble where it is. Goyf's going to go on top. This Bobble's going to stay in the bin. We'll delve the rest. Not really any concessions made there, given that we have... There was a Lightning Bolt and a Serum Visions you could potentially want to keep. Maybe even the Thought Scour, but that's not super likely. We have Bolt and Visions in hand, so I'm really not concerned. Our opponent took turn 2 off as well. Very interesting. Fetching out a basic island. Playing a Scalding Tarn. What are they up to? The third land we got off of Visions, not bad. We can shuffle the Mishra's Bauble back into our deck, the one we scried to the bottom, of course, in order to get a basic forest once we draw that Tarmogoyf. That might actually be what we want to do. Our opponent, with the Spire Bluff Canal, probably not on Storm, although I'm not sure. So far they've done actual nothing but play lands and find lands off of fetch lands, which is highly suspect, I would say. Most decks in Modern do things by turn 3. We could be playing against a Jeskai build, which makes a non-zero amount of sense, I think. How afraid am I of Supreme Verdict? At least somewhat? Maybe we just get the forest and cast Serum Visions. I don't know if I want to play this Goyf. I want to play around Supreme Verdict, but I really don't even know if that's something they're doing. I also don't really want to play Goyf into a Spell Queller, which could very reasonably happen. I think we're just going to cantrip here. Vapor Snag good. Island, not something I want at this point. How good is Vapor Snag? Probably not good enough. Let's just bottom it. Head over to the opponent. Nothing on turn 3. This is like as skeptical, I think, as you can get. We're playing Modern here. Keep in mind. I mean, even in Standard, I think this is ludicrous. Maybe a really bad hand in Commander causes you to do nothing for 3 turns. I've had that. Very rare in Modern do I not do anything for the first 3 turns of the game. Here's the Serum Visions. We're going to let that resolve. I don't think that's what we want to fight over here. I would much rather save my counter magic mana and counter magic cards for spells that I expect to be more relevant. We could use a Lightning Bolt here. Mandrills is pretty safe from removal given that they only have the 1 red source. Am I playing around Spell Queller at this point? Almost certainly not, I don't think. Let's Bolt, untap, play a land just in case it matters. I would say we're in a very good spot. We're going to knock the opponent down to 7. Snap Bolt means our clock is lethal. They need something like a Mystic Gate to even threaten Supreme Verdict at this point, so maybe we just throw down the Goyf. Might eat a Remand. I think I'm okay with that. Am I okay with it eating a Mana Leak? At that point, we probably Shoal Pitch Snapcaster Mage to hold up our Mana Leak for their turn. They almost certainly know we're playing a Goyf deck. Goyf resolved. I don't know what the opponent's doing. Makes me scared, because naturally I want to know what the opponent is doing. They paid Shock here. They definitely want the mana. Baral. Looks like Storm. Cast by exiling a blue card. Counter Baral, pitch, Snapcaster Mage. Yes. 2 equals 2. So, turns out we're playing against Blue-Red Storm. Isn't that interesting? Our opponent's hand must have been quite awful for them to not do anything until turn 4 as Storm. I mean, there was the 1 Visions on turn 3, but really, Serum Visions on turn 3, not spectacular as far as tempo goes. Let's take a look at what we sideboard against Storm. We're going to be bringing in 4 cards here. 2 Pyroclasm, 1 Basic Mountain, and 1 Flash Freeze. Basic Mountain, Flash Freeze, Pyroclasm. The Mountain should go at least some distance to helping us have good mana without having to spend the early turns casting Traverse, casting Serum Visions. I want to be able to get a threat down, interact. I don't want to spin my wheels here. I want to draw my lands, I want to draw my threats, I want to draw my interaction. I don't want to waste time on cantrips if I don't have to. Flash Freeze counters red spells out of their deck. A lot of their important spells are red. Manamorphose, all the rituals, you're not really countering Grape Shot with this. Past in Flames, all very important, all red, all counterable by Flash Freeze. And Pyroclasm is here. In a pinch, it can deal with Goblin Electromancer, but really we're boarding it in for Empty the Warrens, not Wardens. That sounds morbid. Emptying the Wardens, like emptying them of their innards, I guess. Back to sideboarding. We're going to cut Savage Knuckleblade just a little slow, I think. 1 Traverse, like I said. I'm not here to spin wheels. Vapor Snag and Disrupting Shoal. I did read that right. Yes? Yes, I did. Fantastic. Vapor Snag, Disrupting Shoal, Nux, and 1 copy of Traverse. The cards I like least in this matchup, I think. Traverse, like I said, I don't want to spin too many wheels. I think 1's okay. We also don't need late game action here. Nux, a little slow. That's about it. Easily chumped in a pinch. I don't think Nux is going to do much. Disrupting Shoal, Storm doesn't run that many pivotal 1 CMC spells that we're looking to counter with Shoal. Most of the stuff we want to counter costs 2, sometimes 4, Past in Flames and Gifts Ungiven. I don't expect Shoal to do a lot of work. Vapor Snag, a very temporary answer in this matchup. Really, I want their cost reducers dead. I don't want to put them back into hand. Dismember wins out over Vapor Snag here. Our life total is not super relevant, and like I said, permanent answer. Just deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with it later. I want it dead now. 1-0 in this match so far against Blue-Red Storm. Going into Game 2, almost certainly on the draw. Let's see how this goes. Quite exciting. This is match 1, by the way, in case that's relevant. I think when the video starts, what I'm gonna do with the leagues is say what match of the league we're in, how the game's going every now and how the match is going, what the record is every now and then, maybe what our record in the league has been to this point. That way you guys can feel some of the excitement, the pressure that I'm getting right now. And say, like, we're 4-0 and we're going into match 5. I'm going to be bouncing off the walls. You guys can join me. That's not currently happening. I would be pretty ecstatic if we were 4-0 and going into match 5 right now. Instead, we're 0-0 in match 1, up 1 game against Blue-Red Storm. I like that. No need to say which league we're in as far as all the leagues we've done. That seems unnecessary. This hand is interesting. We can keep. Do we want to? We have a turn 2 Goyf if necessary. If the opponent has a turn 2 Baral, we cannot Pyroclasm it. If they have an Electromancer, I might actually want to. This land also has Traverse, which means turn 1 is going to be dedicated to ensuring I can play a 2-drop on 2. If they go Baral, kill you, we're in really bad shape. I don't know if this is actually a mulligan, though. I'm going to think about it for a bit. This is kind of really important. Stubborn Denial, definitely good. Snapcaster Mage, probably a little slow here. Mandrills should be accelerated by a non-zero amount, thanks to the Traverse. We do have 2 draw steps to find an answer to a potential 2-drop. Not the worst. I don't really want to mulligan this hand. I think it's probably good enough. I just don't know. I'm going to keep it. It has at least some interaction in the form of Pyroclasm. Stubborn Denial, very good if we get going. And it has a couple clocks. I'm going to essentially treat this Traverse as a land because that's basically what it's doing for us here. I think this is okay. Really, I don't know. Think it's going to be okay. The opponent fetching out a Steam Vents immediately, kind of suspect. We drew a land, which means we don't actually have to traverse out the island. Instead, we could hold up Stubborn Denial. That's not really going to do anything for us unless their goal is Ritual out a Blood Moon on turn 2. And I don't think that's what I want to play around. I think I'd rather get the Sorcery in the graveyard. Now, one thing we could do here is get the basic forest instead of the island if I do want to play around Blood Moon, but would I actually be better off with a forest than an island? I'm not sure. It means we can play our Tarmogoyf, but then we can't counter any spells. Now, if we get the island instead of the forest, we're in basically the same spot, I think, if they have the Blood Moon. We can't play the pressure, but we can play the disruption. Maybe it's better to get the forest. I'm going to do that. It's going to make Snap Denial very difficult for us. However, I think I like that better. There's an Electromancer, and one little, we'll call it a mental gymnastic. Not really even. My paradigm when playing against Blue-Red Storm is, if I let them untap with the Cost Reducer on turn 3, they will probably kill me. That's just something I assume in pretty much every match that I go into. I'm going to use this Bauble now so that I know if I want to fetch or just play the forest. Our top card is a Mana Leak. That's something I wouldn't mind drawing. I'm not ecstatic to get it. I don't think I really want to shuffle it away, though. So I'm just going to Pyroclasm here. Like I said, I'm assuming that if this Electromancer survives, I will not. And I would very much enjoy surviving. So I'm just going to deal with it right away. That could very well be wrong. It could very well be right. Could very well be wrong. What do we do here? We can put a 4th card in the bin for Hooting Mandrills, pay 2 mana to cast it, and hold up Stubborn Denial? That looks like a pretty good turn for us. It's going to make Goyf much worse as a clock, because we're going to delve away both sorceries and the artifact in the bin. There will only be 2 card types for Goyf, before Denial hits at least. However, that means we get a clock down this turn while holding up Disruption, and that's pretty appealing. Otherwise, we have to put down the shields. Well, I guess actually we can play the 4/5 Goyf. Hold up Stubborn Denial. I was thinking play Goyf when we have Mana Leak mana up, but given that we had to pay 2 mana for Mandrills anyways, that play was kind of bad. I don't know how relevant it is, given that Mandrills has Trample, Goyf doesn't, so that's a plus for Mandrills. There's also the fact that it's pretty unlikely they're actually going to deal with one of our threats here. So it doesn't really matter if we have a backup threat. But to be fair, we could have played Goyf there with basically the same results as playing the Mandrills. I'm going to get in for 4. That's step 1. So that may or may not have been a misplay. I definitely should have considered playing Goyf and holding up Stubborn Denial. So I don't get credit there. That's for sure. Mandrill's coming in here for 4, going to knock the opponent down to 15. No cost reducer for our opponent yet. Well, not one after the Electromancer hit the dust, bit the dust. You don't hit the dust, you bite the dust. What are we looking at here? What does our post-combat play consist of? I kind of want to get that Steam Vents onto the battlefield. Double blue, definitely going to be an asset with the Snapcaster Mage in our hand, with Denial plus Mana Leak ready to go. I don't know if I actually want Denial plus Mana Leak this turn, though. The opponent's going down to 15. Goyf is currently a 2-3. Playing the Goyf does take a turn off our clock. Mandrill is going to take 4 more turns after this hit to deal with our opponent. Mandrills plus Goyf only going to take 3 turns, and might even take fewer if we fill up that graveyard. I kind of want to play the Goyf. Means we don't have Leak plus Denial. I don't think we need Leak plus Denial. I'm going to shock here because I don't believe our life total is super relevant. Play the Tarmogoyf, pass to the opponent. Goyf resolves. We could have played around Remand by holding up one of the green sources, but I think I'd rather they Remand the Tarmogoyf, and then we have 2 blue. Here's a Desperate Ritual. I actually didn't even realize this was an instant. I don't know what they're doing. Looks like they're trying to get a Gifts out. I didn't realize that was an instant. Huh. That's something I should probably know. That is very relevant. Now, here's an interesting decision point. Assuming this is a Gifts Ungiven, do I counter it? Countering Gifts Ungiven puts the shields down, very importantly, which means next turn they are able to play a bear, a 2-2. I guess Baral's a 1-3, so it's not really a bear, but it's still 2 mana, so we'll call it a bear. They play a bear, and they could theoretically go off next turn. Not that easily. Definitely conceivably. On the other hand, if we let Gifts resolve, I think they have an even easier time going off. So I'm going to counter this. Shields are down for 1 turn. Our opponent doesn't know that, which is nice. We're going to see what goes down here. Instant in the bin makes Goyf bigger. Still a 3-turn clock, unless they fetch or we draw a burn spell. Or we just get a sorcery in the bin. That could trim it down to 2. Quite suspenseful. They could very reasonably just win the game here. I think if we let them untap, having cast and resolved Gifts Ungiven, they're even more likely to win the game. Pieces of the puzzle here, not scary. They're just setting up. This is like a worse Gifts Ungiven, so I'm pretty okay with that. Let's see what they found. Manamorphose, Goblin Electromancer, Pyretic Ritual, Serum Visions, and another pieces of the puzzle. They're going to put 2 of those cards into their hand. The rest are going into the graveyard. They kept Manamorphose, Serum Visions, And it looks like they don't have the 4th land drop, which makes this much easier for us. Yes, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. Nothing we can do anyways. Mishra's Bauble puts an artifact in the bin. Pieces of the puzzle, I believe a sorcery, makes Goyf big enough regardlessly. I'm just going to jot down what's in their hand. They have Manamorphose, and they also took Visions. Them not casting the Visions very much telegraphs that they do not have the land. I'm going to play this Bauble on the off chance that it helps us. We're going to look at what our opponent's going to draw. It's unfortunate that this mountain isn't a blue source, because then we could leak, snap, denial. As is, we only have the 2 blue sources. Something I could have played around if I got Island off of Traverse and then fetched out a breeding pool instead of getting a forest and fetching out an island. However, we went with forest in case of Blood Moon. If they do play the Blood Moon on 2, they have a Shivan Reef on top. They're about to draw that. That could be bad. Not all that much we can do about it, though. Do we play this mountain? I think we may as well. We're not casting all of our spells anyways, so we may as well let them know that we have more than enough mana to interact with whatever they want to do. Bauble, we're going to draw. Also, the fact that we could theoretically draw a lightning bolt off of this Bauble, super duper relevant. It's a Visions. I don't even know if we would want to cast that Visions. Shivan Reef enters the battlefield here for our opponent. Here's a Brawl. Do we Mana Leak? I think it might actually be a no-brainer to Mana Leak. If we successfully interact with this Brawl, we basically just win, right? If they have to tap out to pay for Mana Leak, we're in an amazing spot. So, that's gonna be it. If they have a Remand, we're gonna cast the Mana Leak again. That doesn't really help them here. They might Remand their Baral, but that's just going to get them killed by our fatties. So that's not going to help them. Here's a Desperate Ritual, which it looks like is going to go for paying for the Baral. They might try to chain a couple of those. And they do. They're going to have mana left over. They might go off here after paying for Mana Leak. How cool is that? I do maintain that you want to try to Mana Leak that Baral, though. Seems like a good idea. They might have it here, they might not. We're going to find out. The opponent with 3 cards left in hand. They need mana and cards at this point. If they can, they're going to need a Manamorphose. We know they have 1 in hand. We also know about a Serum Visions. So we're probably going to see a Visions here after a Manamorphose to get blue mana. Also going to generate mana for them, so they're going to have 2 here. They're going to spend 1 for Visions. The red's probably a Ritual. Oh, it's an Opt, not a Visions. That tells me they're going for broke right here, because Visions looks deeper if they don't mind waiting until next turn, whereas Opt looks deeper for this turn. I like that MTGO has the Storm Count thing here. Very cool. Targeting Manamorphose with the Nauseous Revival. Looks like they might have another. That's going to resolve. Knocks them down to 4, so if they don't win, they're definitely dead. Unless they can produce blockers. If they have another Manamorphose, and they do, so they're going to Manamorphose here, drawing the other Manamorphose. And we know that the one other card in their hand is a Serum Visions, so I imagine they're going to Visions, then Manamorphose. No, they're going straight for the Manamorphose. Okay. I guess that makes more mana, but Manamorphose makes more mana anyway, so what do I know? Chaining Manamorphoses. I'm going to go with Manamorphoses here. Chaining a bunch of them. They still need to draw into something. Storm Count's 10. Pieces of the puzzle was found. And that's pretty good as far as drawing into something goes. Spire Bluff Canal. Opt. Empty the Warrens, something the opponent probably wants. Another Spire Bluff Canal and Pyretic. They're going to Pyretic here. They almost certainly also chose the empty the Warrens. It looks like they did because it's not in the graveyard. And here is an empty. We probably need to find... Okay, can we just go to us? I don't want to deal with that. That's a lot of tokens. We need a Pyroclasm or a Bolt effect. Bolt, Snap, Bolt. Good enough here. Believe the opponent has a Visions in hand. I don't think I kept track of their hand incorrectly. We're going to draw. It's a Bauble. Bauble is fine if we're going to draw a Tarfire or Lightning Bolt off of it. If Pyroclasm is what we need to draw, Bauble is not good enough. I'm going to Visions here. This is exciting. What do we got? Storm Count thing from MTGO. Very cool. I like it a lot. I wonder how it decides that it's going to put the Storm Count out. Waiting for our opponent to let us draw a card and then scry 2. Oh boy. The excitement almost certainly mounting. Visions, Misty. Okay, we don't want the Misty. Drawing the Visions doesn't help us either because we don't have enough blue mana, so we're going to bottom both of these. And now what? Mishra's Bauble, still possible to allow us a Bolt, Snap, Bolt. Otherwise, we need to Thought Scour and hope that we draw Pyroclasm. Okay, we're going to look at our top cards so that we know which we have to do. It's a Forked Bolt. Okay, Forked Bolt means if we scour ourselves to draw it right now, we don't have Forked Bolt, Snap, Forked Bolt. Forked Bolting 2 tokens leaves them with 25 creatures with power 1. Not enough that we can block. Sorry, too many for us to block. We can Thought Scour ourselves, hoping to hit Pyroclasm. I believe Pyroclasm is our last out here. If that Forked Bolt was a Tarfire or a regular Bolt, we would just draw off of the Bauble on their turn, and then on their upkeep, Instant Speed Burn Spell, Snapcaster Mage, Instant Speed Burn Spell. We don't have that luxury here, so I believe we're going to Thought Scour ourselves, see what gets turned over, a Lightning Bolt, a Forked Bolt. We drew a Visions, go to the opponent. That's going to be it. We're going to draw one more card off of Bauble. It's a Goyf. Definitely not going to do it. We're going to lose game 2 here to Blue-Red Storm. There's a Sleight of Hand. I wonder if you board out Forked Bolt in this matchup. It kills Electromancer, so I do like that. We're going to take a boatload of damage. They're actually leaving some goblins back. I guess they're swinging with exactly enough. Which seems at least somewhat risky, given that I could theoretically kill a goblin or two. I think if I were them, I'm swinging with a bunch. Here's 19 points of power. I think that's enough. I don't think there are a lot of ways for us to play around them having 19 points of power here. Let's block Baral and a goblin. Yep. We're going to go to -2. Our life total did matter, but notice they have 8 goblins ready to go. Our life total didn't really matter. They could have easily done any more. We would have had to be at something like 25, I think, to survive that. They had 8 more. We were at -2, 30. We would have had to start at 30. Given that we fetch shocked and what have you. How do we look right now? Forked Bolt. Not a very nice top deck in that spot. The Lightning Bolt underneath it would have been fantastic. But alas. I don't think we want to change anything. I don't think the hand was particularly bad. I guess I'll rewatch it, see if there were any plays I can think of that I can improve. Feel free to let me know if you guys catch anything. I think we're just going to run this back, though. I don't think sideboarding is somewhere that I lost a significant number of percentage points. We're going to go back in there, submit the deck. The opponent's still boarding. Doing something on their end. 1-1 in match 1 of this league against Blue-Red Gifts Storm. Desperate Ritual being an instant, very relevant there actually on 2 occasions. 1, being able to get extra mana to gifts on our end step, and 2, being able to respond to Mana Leak to ensure that Baral resolved. How is our hand? I like it a lot. We're going to keep. Turn 1, Serum Visions. Turn 2, Tarmogoyf. Possibly bolt some things afterwards. Looks good to me. I'm going to start off on this Flooded Strand. What land do I want? Probably a Breeding Pool, given that it can't get the Stomping Ground. And ideally, with these 3 lands, we're going to want Breeding Pool, Stomping Ground, Island. Let's play the Flooded Strand. If it was a Scalding Tarn, it wouldn't be really relevant which fetch we start with. As is, we're going to get this out of our hand. Keep the chances that having Flooded Strand comes back to bite us to as small as they can be. Make that window bigger. Ensure we click the right land. We're going to pay shock. Still not caring that much about the life total. Pyroclasm, an amazing pickup. Snapcaster Mage, probably good. I don't think I want the Mandrills. We're going to bottom it. And let's head over to our opponent. See what they're going to do on turn 1. Snapcaster Mage, at least somewhat nice, given that we already have 3 lands. I like that. I like that very much. We're not going to have access to double red, so we're not doing anything fancy like Bolt Pyroclasm here. Fetching here might not be the right thing to do. I'm kind of okay with it, though. I don't actually know if I want the 4th land anytime soon. Let's slam a Tarmogoyf. Bolt Proof, which is definitely relevant. Storm does sideboard a non-zero amount of lightning bolts. I don't know if they actually bring them in against us. I don't know if that's a good idea at all. But they're there. Thought Scour, not bad. I actually might want to Scour now. Very interesting decision point. Not long ago, against Titan Shift, I decided to put the Mana Leak shields down to Thought Scour myself in an attempt to make a Goyf bigger to speed up the clock. I think it was Titan Shift. No, it wasn't Titan Shift. It was Red-Black Hollow One. Firstly, the Scour didn't grow Goyf, and secondly, putting down Mana Leak basically lost us the game. In this scenario, we're not actually putting anything down by playing the Thought Scour, so I think it's a pretty good line. Thought Scour now, potentially draw a Mana Leak. If they play something I want to counter, I'm probably Scouring in response to that anyways in hopes of drawing a Mana Leak, but this is just going to give us more information. That part not that relevant. Scour definitely growing Goyf because it is an instant. Milling a Visions and a Spell Snare. Drawing us a basic island, not the best. I'm going to get in here. Knock the opponent down to 17. Hold up Lightning Bolt. I'm very glad they didn't have the cost reducer on 2, because now we can bolt it, and if they have Apostle's Blessing, something that Storm is definitely running currently, or even just a Remand to bounce our bolt back to hand, we can just cast it when we untap, instead of untapping, bolting their dude, having that bolt not resolve, and then allowing the Storm opponent a turn to go off while we can no longer Lightning Bolt, because we only have the 1 red source. I wonder if with hands like this, you should actually aim to have 2 red sources, just because I know I have Bolt Pyroclasm. Doesn't seem like a bad idea. The opponent on 3 Spire Bluff Canals here. Very painless mana. We're not going to do anything. Delver of Secrets, definitely something I like. Snapcaster Spell Snare, also relevant. Let's get in for 1. Not 1. Delver's in hand. Goyf's the one on the battlefield. We're getting in for 3. Knock that opponent down to 14 life. We can either play the Delver or hold up Bolt, Snap, Snare. Bolt, Snap, Snare actually kind of enticing. I also like the idea of advancing our board state, closing this game out sooner. It's not very likely that the opponent is able to untap and just take us down. Given that they still have to play the cost reducer, I could see here, though, a Desperate Ritual on the end step, Gifts Ungiven, untap, play the cost reducer, go for it. Now, interesting point on that is we have no way of interacting with a Gifts Ungiven here. So even if they do that, we still have Snap, Snare, or Bolt to deal with whatever they're doing before we untap. And it's pretty unlikely that they're able to Ritual into a Gifts, gas up, play the bear, protect the bear through our disruption, and go off, all in that span. Given that we have the ability to untap and attempt to deal with their whatever they present us once they actually have their fourth turn, I think playing the Delver is more than fine. I think it's even advisable. Here's a Goblin Electromancer. We're going to try to Lightning Bolt that, either on end step or in response to whatever it is they're doing. We're going to do it right now, I think. We could see a Remand here. We also might not. Pyretic also an instant. How did I not know the rituals were all instant speed spells? The opponent is going to get a lot of mana, even Manamorphose in response. Wow. So maybe I was just completely wrong, and you're not supposed to play Delver there? They're going to have a lot of mana. And they're going to keep their cost reducer. I might have messed up. This is interesting. Well, if it's an Empty the Warrens kill, we can definitely Pyroclasm, which is nice. I don't know what we're doing beyond that. To be honest, I'm quite scared. Playing the Delver might have been a bad idea. Here's a Gifts Ungiven using pretty much all of their mana. I like that. Now, they have one mountain untapped, which means they can only cast one spell that is not a ritual. Well, if they don't have rituals, they can only cast one spell, which is going to be super important for our gifts choice here. Pile-making skills are basically going to make or break this game from this state. It could be that playing Delver was what made or broke. Make or break sounds a lot better than made or broke. So the opponent has 4 cards in hand, 1 red mana. If they have Manamorphose, I think we're in big trouble. I don't really want to give them rituals. What's in their graveyard? More Manamorphose? This is quite difficult. Okay, we either choke them on mana or we choke them on cards. We can give them just rituals. They're going to make a bunch of mana. If they have Past in Flames in hand, well, we're screwed. If they don't, we're good. If we give them Manamorphose, they're going to end up with 2 mana in pool, and they're going to draw another card. If we also give them one of the rituals, they're going to have down 1, up 3, 4 mana in pool, having drawn a card off of Manamorphose. That's enough to cast a Past in Flames regardlessly. So maybe we just don't want to let them draw off of Manamorphose. There's also the fact that we could give them Nauseous Revival. But if we give them Revival and Manamorphose, we're in pretty much the same bad spot. Giving them both rituals means they're just going to get a bunch of mana. I really don't know. Pile making is really difficult. Okay. We give them Manamorphose and Nauseous Revival. They can Revival for a ritual if they need mana. They cast the ritual after casting the Manamorphose because they have to draw. So they have 1 mana. They go up to 2 mana. They cast the ritual. They go up to 4 mana. We don't know what's in their hand. So we can either let them get 4 mana and the card they're drawing is the ritual, or we give them both rituals. They have a boatload of mana. I think I'd rather give them Manamorphose and Nauseous Revival, but that might let them Nauseous Revival back Gifts Ungiven, which might actually be okay. I'm going to give them... What am I selecting? Oh, geez, that's going into the graveyard. Okay, so that's the graveyard pile. Now we're either giving them 2 rituals or Manamorphose and a ritual. Giving them Manamorphose and a ritual I think is worse than giving them 2 rituals. That's a misclick. I wanted to give them Manamorphose and Nauseous Revival, but instead we're giving them the rituals. I don't know which is better, but we didn't do what we wanted to do. So there's that. There are the rituals. Plenty of mana in the opponent's pool. What do we got? What do we got? Looks like a Past in Flames. It is. The opponent is going to go ham here shortly. So they had the Past in Flames in their hand, which was 4 mana. Which means if we give them Nauseous Revival and Manamorphose, they get up to 4 mana. They go down to 1 to cast the Past in Flames. And they have 1 mana to use the rituals all again anyways. So I don't think either decision actually gets us out of it. But I did want to give them Nauseous Revival and Manamorphose. Storm count, definitely high enough that Grape Shot can take us out here if they have it. Hopefully they don't. They can also Gifts trying to get it, which is pretty scary. I'm pretty sure we lost, knock on wood. If they're just on Empty the Warrens, that's fantastic, and we have a new lease on life. Storm count's 13 and they're taking a while to cast something. It's Manamorphose. Oh boy. They draw a card. More stuff getting exiled. I would not be surprised. Here's Grape Shot. Yeah, we didn't do it. Sorry guys. I was not good enough. I wonder if you're actually supposed to hold on to that Delver of Secrets. If we did, we probably would have been okay because we could have Snap Snared in addition to Lightning Bolt. So we probably make it out of that alive. As is, we did not. We are super dead, so I'm just going to scoop. I'm not going to make the opponent deal with all that. I don't know if you're actually, as far as EV goes, not supposed to play the Delver. But in this situation, we definitely should not have played the Delver. What else could we have done? Getting a second red source, super important. Yeah. So, lessons here. Be able to interact more easily, more than just one piece of interaction against Storm when they have that much mana, because they can do some stuff at instant speed while you're trying to stop them. So it looks like things we did wrong were playing Delver and not getting a second red source, which would have... We would have either been able to go Snap, Snare, and Bolt to deal with it, or we could have just double bolted the Electromancer. It would be gone, and they would have been much slower. Notably, the double bolt thing can be done in conjunction with playing the Delver. Anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed that video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.